I struggled with chronic skin picking for 15 years of my life. I tried so many times to just stop it. I tried so many different things and I failed so many times and I doubted myself and I criticized myself and I blamed myself. I tried to just accept that this is just part of my life and I'm just going to have to learn how to live with it. But it didn't feel right. Something was wrong. Something was going on that I didn't understand, and it seemed like no one really else understood what was going on either. And so I decided, instead of succumbing to this behavior, I was going to figure it out. I was going to find a way to heal. And from that day, I dedicated everything, every thought. I dedicated all my energy to uncovering what it took for me to heal. When I found my freedom from chronic skin picking, I started to share it with you on this podcast, on social media, through my programs, through my free resources. And now I want to share with you these 6 life-changing lessons about healing from chronic skin picking, hair pulling, or nail biting. And these lessons absolutely changed my life. And I see them every day changing the lives of other people in this community who apply them to themselves. You are listening to episode 100 of Beyond Skin Picking and Hair Pulling. This is a very, very exciting day. And before we get into this episode, I just want to say a big, wholehearted thank you for being here, for supporting this podcast, for helping me to get to this place, for showing your support through your messages, comments, reviews, through sharing this with other people. It really means the world to me. Across Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, this podcast has over 400 subscribers, more than 50 5-star reviews. This podcast receives, on average, 1,000 downloads a month. And you know what this tells me? This tells me that I am not alone in knowing that there is a deeper root cause to this problem, these behaviors, and that there is a something inside of us that is drawing us and telling us that this is the path forward. This is how we heal. This is how I found real change. And this is how so many people have found genuine, long-lasting change in this behavior, true healing. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Even if you've never interacted, thank you for listening. Thank you for believing in yourself. Thank you for your trust in me to support you in navigating your healing journey. Thank you for spreading the word if you've ever shared this with anyone else. And to celebrate this milestone, for the next 2 weeks only, you'll be able to access a free holistic skin picking and hair pulling assessment from me. All you need to do is fill out a Google form and I will send you my personal feedback on what this says about you, your healing, and the next steps that you need to take to finally make progress and get unstuck. You'll find a link for that in the show notes. And if you are listening to this sometime in the future, beyond the 2 weeks that this is open right now, don't worry, you can click on the link anyway and sign up to receive a notification when it is available again. With that being said, let's get into today's episode. As I'm sharing these life-changing lessons with you, I want you to just notice, where are you already potentially applying that to your life? Not just with skin picking, but maybe in other areas of your life. Maybe you've already done this before. And notice which one stands out to you the most as you listen to the 6 life-changing lessons. Which one calls to you the most? Because you don't have to do all of these at once. I even encourage you not to. Just notice which one pulls at your heart the strongest, because that is the one that you need the most right now. So listen closely to my words and to your body. Healing doesn't look like never touching your skin again. That is something, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've heard me say that before. I say it all the time. And it is the first life-changing lesson about body-focused repetitive behaviors. Real healing looks like reducing this behavior back down to a healthy, normal level. Chronic pain does not mean pain is just bad and we need to get rid of all pain. It means that the pain you're experiencing is excessive and abnormal. Chronic drinking does not mean consuming alcohol is necessarily bad. It just means the way you are consuming it is abnormal and excessive and having a detrimental impact on the quality of your life. For so many behavioral addictions, they stem from an actually normal, healthy behavior. Skin picking, hair pulling, nail biting, they're self-grooming behaviors. Chronic overeating. Eating food is a normal, healthy behavior. We don't want to eliminate eating food completely. That would be ridiculous. It's the same with chronic skin picking and hair pulling and nail biting. Being healed does not mean that you never want to touch your skin again. that you never want to engage in this behavior again, that you never feel the urge again. All it means is when you feel that urge, it doesn't feel so all-encompassing and overpowering. You don't lose yourself in those really long picking sessions where you zone out from the world. You might have moments where you scan and you pick at a spot, but you're able to stop yourself if you can see that it's going too far. Most of the time, not even all the time, most of the time. Everyone at some stage will probably pick at something a little bit too much. Just like most people are going to overeat or binge eat food sometimes. That doesn't mean everyone that binge eats some food has a binge eating problem. It becomes a problem when it becomes chronic, abnormal, how much you engage in that. It becomes chronic when it starts to become so frequent that it has a detrimental impact on your well-being. When we let go of this rigid expectation, healing becomes possible. The longer we hold on to this rigidity and this unrealistic expectation of ourselves, the longer we're going to feel stuck and we're going to feel like we're failing because we're striving towards something that simply is not possible, is not realistic, is not human. So what if healing looked different? And I guarantee it can. It absolutely can. It's different for me, and I've seen this shift and this change in so many people. The second life-changing lesson. This is a tool. It is a self-soothing behavior. It is there to help you to regulate and manage emotions that you feel overwhelmed with, that you feel like you can't handle. It is not an issue that you have no control over. It is not a disorder that you have no power over and you just have to learn to live with. If you're listening to this, you are capable of learning the skills that you need to help yourself to better regulate and manage your emotions. And when you do that, you're going to start replacing the need for these behaviors. But sometimes we need to go pretty deep because sometimes we're soothing ourselves from our own inner critic because being inside our head is such a stressful place to be. This is why some people think, yeah, but I have such a good life. I don't have that much pressure in my life. How much pressure are you putting on yourself on a daily basis? This behavior is a tool. It is not the main problem. And once we learn better tools that serve us better, make us feel better about ourselves, we can start to let go of needing this one so much. This is why just stopping doesn't work. Because yeah, say I'm cooking, I need to cut up some vegetables. But if I just throw my knives away, what am I going to do? I can use a butter knife. I can smash it with a rolling pin. I can break it apart with my fingers, but none of that works well because the knife works so effectively and it would just end up being frustrating and difficult and uncomfortable. This is what happens when we try to just stop skin picking, is that we don't have other tools that function well, that we have been practicing, that help us to manage ourselves in a better way. One of the biggest moments for me was when I realized I was using chronic skin picking to help me soothe anxiety. And if I just tried to stop skin picking, then I wasn't doing anything to help me manage anxiety. I was just trying to ignore it and avoid it. So of course I was going to end up picking my skin again. It's so unfair to expect yourself to just stop if you haven't set yourself up to be able to navigate yourself when you do, to be able to navigate the emotions that come up. That skin picking or hair pulling or nail biting has been, until now, helping you to navigate and deal with. The third life-changing lesson is curiosity is your greatest tool. It is your greatest tool for healing. The more curious we get, the more we let go of shame. And this has literally been the catalyst for every point of great healing growth in my healing journey. It has helped me to get through the hardest times, the times where I felt like such a failure. I felt so lost and stuck. Curiosity is what has helped me to get through that, not just with chronic skin picking, but with literally any challenge I face in my life. Literally any time I feel hopeless. Curiosity is what helps me to move forward. And curiosity is a wonderful way to let go of shame because shame and curiosity cannot coexist. They come from different places. And so when you are feeling the weight of that shame, of the self-criticism, of judgment, getting curious and wondering, why do I still need this behavior? Because if I'm doing it, I clearly need it on some level. What am I not giving myself that I need? How have I not been showing up for myself this week? What have I been doing that maybe is contributing to me needing this? What am I avoiding that's maybe contributing to me needing this? My curiosity led me to find out that actually it's not the picking that's causing the acne on my skin, it's hormonal acne. And that took me down the rabbit hole and years of healing my hormones. I would have never figured that out if I had just stuck with blaming myself. for this behavior. I would have never figured out that anxiety was a problem for me if I hadn't gotten curious about why I started picking my skin again. Because that happened after I tried to go cold turkey with skin picking for 2 weeks and I relapsed on holiday and I just really didn't know why. Curiosity gave me the answer why. And since then, I've become very, very good at managing anxiety, at navigating it, at soothing myself when I need it, at responding to anxiety in a very healthy way, so that skin picking no longer needs to fill that gap for me. Life-changing lesson number 4. This behavior stems from shame. Practicing self-compassion and sharing this struggle with other people who you feel safe sharing this with will drastically change how you relate to this behavior and how it shows up in your life. The more you hide this behavior from people, the more you tell yourself, I'll tell people when I've gotten a bit further. I'll reach out for support when I've figured out a little bit more on my own. I've spoken to so many people. I have so many examples of how releasing the shame has been the catalyst that has allowed someone to heal from this behavior. One of my followers on Instagram, this was a couple of years ago, I messaged her just to say, hey, have a conversation. I love doing that with my followers to get to know the ones that are open to having conversations. And she said she was really struggling. We had a really beautiful conversation. And then we didn't talk for a while. Half a year later or so, she reached out to me and said, I just really need to let you know that since our conversation, I opened up to my parents and my friends about this struggle, and they were really loving and understanding. And then I found a therapist who is amazing and she really helped me. And I don't struggle with chronic skin picking anymore. I'm not afraid of it anymore. It no longer rules my life just from having that conversation. Before that, she had never spoken to anyone about chronic skin picking until I messaged her on Instagram. It was the first time. Another lady I had a free support call with, and she was struggling greatly with her self-esteem at work, in herself, self-criticism, having a loud inner critic, all these things, chronic skin picking. And on this call, I gave a lot of validation, a lot of understanding, and she hadn't ever received that before. She'd never been understood about this struggle before. She'd never been able to talk so openly about chronic skin picking. I just wanted to quickly add, because as I was editing this episode, I realized, I missed out mentioning something that's really important because I don't want people to get the wrong impression or to think that this is the solution and when you do this then everything's going to get better, because I don't want to set anyone up to experience a huge amount of disappointment or frustration or thinking that they're doing something wrong if they don't get the results that they think they should be getting. So opening up and sharing your struggle, your story with someone, even just one person or people that you trust, is deeply healing, and it really will have a big impact on your healing journey. And the stories that I'm sharing with you now, they are extreme examples of what a big impact doing this can have. That for some people, doing this is what really sets them free from this behavior significantly, or it sets them free from the suffering. So it becomes really just a bad habit. Now, it may not happen like that for everyone. So I just want you to know that yes, if you have not yet opened up to people about chronic skin picking or hair pulling or nail biting, that is absolutely a vital step in your healing journey. And it is not necessarily the thing that will set you free, but it will definitely help you to release shame and to become a little more kinder to yourself, a little more understanding, a little more loving. The reason why I'm sharing with you these really extreme examples of what an impact this can have on someone is just to show you how powerful it can be. So I just wanted to quickly add that in and make sure that we are grounding this into reality and not blowing things out of proportion, and have a healthy perspective and expectation of ourselves and the steps that we take in healing. And then about a year later, I checked back in to see how she's doing. And she said, hey, actually, I don't really struggle with it anymore. It's not such a big problem. Sometimes I pick my skin, but it doesn't dominate my life. I don't lose so many hours. I feel so much more secure in myself than I used to. And a lady I had a support call with recently, I was the first person she had ever spoken to about this. And the call that we had was so beautiful and emotional and real and raw. And what I told this lady was, your next step is to share this with your friends, share this with your therapist, shine light on this and allow people to love you even in this struggle. Even in your imperfection, allow people to see you. I haven't heard back from her yet. It was quite recently, but I have a very, very good feeling about her healing, about the changes she is about to make in her life. Life-changing lesson number 5. You don't need to be better to feel better. So many people who struggle with these behaviors are high achievers. That doesn't mean you're an academic. It just means in that whatever you do, you have high expectations and you push yourself hard to meet those expectations. That is a high achiever. It doesn't matter what field you're in or what you're doing. You don't need to be better to feel better. You don't need to be better to heal from skin picking. There's nothing to improve. Of course, there are skills that we can learn. Absolutely. There are so many skills to learn. But the most important thing, the thing that really makes the difference, because you can learn all the skills. I've seen people do this. They learn all the skills, they learn all the techniques, they go to therapy for a really, really long time, they join all the programs, and still somehow they're struggling with this problem. You need to learn how to have compassion for yourself even when you're not your best. You don't need to do more or be better. Learn to be compassionate to yourself when you are not your best. And if this one is really calling to you, last week's episode goes deeper into this. So I highly recommend you listening to that one. There's this feeling that when I do this thing, when I achieve this thing, when I've fixed this problem in myself, when I've got this, then I'll be okay, then I'll be better, then I can heal from skin picking. It's simply not the truth. The more we tell ourselves that, we're going to keep learning new things, keep trying to fix things, and still have the same problem. Problem is not that you aren't good enough or fixed enough or healed enough. It's that you haven't yet been practicing compassion with yourself when you are not your best, when you aren't perfect, when you make mistakes. It's allowing yourself to be loved and to love yourself in that imperfection. Because what's happening underneath this is we are playing out the belief that I don't deserve love. I don't deserve good things or kindness or compassion if I am not perfect. When you prioritize compassion over perfection, big healing will happen. This is something I repeat constantly to my clients and that I work on a lot with my clients is treating themselves with compassion and being compassionate towards themselves after a picking session. This extends to every other area of life where your inner critic comes out. And when it clicks for people and when it clicks for a client, that compassion aspect, that's when we start to see big changes happening, big shifts. You are already worthy of good things. I don't care how much you have in your mind that you still want to work on and need to work on. The most important thing is compassion. Life-changing lesson number 6. Even when you've healed from chronic skin picking, even when you no longer struggle with it or suffer from this behavior, your relationship with skin picking and your skin or your hair or your nails is going to continue to grow and evolve and change. The reason I say this is because, like I said at the start, healing doesn't look like never touching your skin again or never having the urge again. It's still a part of your life. It's just not a destructive part of your life anymore. It's not something that causes physical and emotional pain. But maybe you're still scanning and picking at your skin. It's just on a level that doesn't cause you physical and emotional pain. But over time, as you learn and grow, live your life, you are going to find that your relationship with it continues to change, continues to become stronger and healthier. The best way I can describe this is I used to have a binge eating addiction. It was a really, really big problem for me. When I actually acknowledged it was a problem was when I ended up throwing up twice, two separate occasions, because I had simply eaten too much and I could not hold that much food in my body. That's what really made me pause and think, this is potentially not healthy. And then I also developed a whole bunch of gut health issues, and it's a whole other story. But I would say I healed from binge eating many years ago. But my relationship with food has continued to grow and evolve and change and heal over that time. 3 years ago, I wasn't binge eating, not the way that I was when it was really bad, when I was actually suffering from this behavior. But still, 3 years on to today, I have a far more healthier relationship with food than I did then. I feel even less of a need to soothe myself through food. And in all honesty, even the other day, I noticed that I was constantly snacking on little things because I was super in my head. I wasn't very grounded. And the food was like this thing that was just letting the steam off. And I recognized that. It didn't make me feel bad about myself. It just made me realize, okay, I'm going to be pretty overstimulated and overwhelmed by the evening if I don't do something to help me to calm down. These are behaviors that are normal and healthy. They naturally give us a hit of dopamine or serotonin. We are naturally driven to want to engage in these behaviors because they are actually healthy for us for our survival. I mean, self-grooming is good for our survival. Anything that is good for our survival, the reward system in our brain is going to encourage us to do it. And the more you connect with yourself, heal your relationship with yourself, become close to yourself, more authentic, you're going to notice that reflected in your relationships to these things that you used to lean on when you weren't coping. Food still serves as a source of comfort, but I go about that in a much more conscious, intentional way that really is good for me. Self-grooming is still a source of comfort, but I go about that in a much more intentional way that is actually good for me. There is no being perfectly healed. There is no perfect finish line. This is just you growing, connecting deeply to yourself, dedicating yourself to loving yourself and serving yourself to the best of your ability, embracing every aspect of you, all parts of you, all the imperfect parts of you and the messy parts of you and the difficult parts of you. And that takes time. And at no point are we done with that. There's no arriving. You are living your life now. You are who you are now. You are enough now. You can have things to work on and improve on and still be enough right now. So I wonder which one of these 6 life-changing lessons stood out to you the most. I encourage you to reflect on how you might be able to implement that into your life in some small way. And thank you again so, so much for listening to me, for your trust, for showing up, for your support. And I'm so looking forward to another 100 episodes of supporting you in your journey back to yourself. Don't forget, if you want your free skin picking and hair pulling assessment, make sure you click on the link in the show notes, fill out that form. It is totally free, and I will send you my insights about what your answers say about you, your healing journey, and what you can do right now to make the biggest difference in your life and in yourself. Have an absolutely amazing rest of your day, and I will see you next week for the next episode of Beyond Skin Picking and Hair Pulling.